What's good, y'all? This your boy Blak G 92. Now, for today, I will be doing a quick album review for Kendrick Lamar's Good Kid, Mad City, and also this would be his official major label debut that was released through Top Dog Entertainment, Aftermath Entertainment, and Interscope Records. And it was released on the 22nd of October in 2012, which on 22nd of October for this year would make it 12 years, officially 12 years since it's been released. And to be honest, I can't even tell it came out that year, to be real. That's how great it is and how iconic it is, I have to say. I mean, say what you, for those that the naysayers out there, because I know some Kendrick haters out there, it's like there's a lot of Kendrick Lamar stands that came in the picture through this whole Kendrick and Drake beef. I'll let y'all know it's definitely, I personally feel it's a very iconic album per se for what it did, and of course people are studying it in colleges and universities. It shows how impactful the album was when it came out that year. M.A.A.D did the numbers that Drake did for Take Care, but as far as like that for an album but that has storytelling, and more so tells a story from start to finish, over 12 tracks. It's definitely that type of album that I could definitely say I recommend to those that's not just into West Coast hip hop, also that's into just good music. It's that great. And before I get started, I just say my apologies for being absent for some time, because something else came up outside of YouTube and kind of just threw me off my square. And I'm getting through it, and I figure I just go ahead and muscle through, maybe do a couple more videos, couple more little commentary videos, maybe. Who knows? Just stay tuned and stay tapped in. I also like to say as well, I have yet to listen to Cardi B's long-awaited M.A.A.D the Drama album. I'm about to say M.A.A.D Drama, but it's M.A.A.D the Drama album, which is her second album. And yeah, it took you 7 fucking years to come out another fucking album. That's crazy. But I'm gonna hold off on my judgments while I actually listen to the album. And damn, my boy Josh just texted me about his church service, because he's gonna be up in that bitch for about 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. And that's a long ass church service. But hey, if that's how he wants to spend his day, hey, go right ahead, man. And I was fixing to tell him about hitting up the Arts and the Hearts. I was just thinking about that, because I talked to my mom about him and such. So I think about, hey, how about you hit up Arts and the Hearts? Because that's my plan on doing sometime in the afternoon after my therapy appointment. So, but anywho, I'm gonna get back to mention the Cardi B M.A.A.D the Drama album. I'm gonna hold off on all my critiques or all my opinions so I actually hear the album, because I'll be talking out my ass if I just talk about album that I haven't listened to it for myself. That'll be so unfair for me, and I should have my credentials removed as a content creator. Not just say, well, you can say content hip hop, not hip hop. Yeah, you can say content creator that does reviews for albums. So yeah, I'm gonna hold off on everything on what I have to say about M.A.A.D the Drama until I actually set through all 21 tracks on there. But it's lazy as fuck to have 2 songs that have been released 4 or 5 fucking years on the album, with all new songs, by the way. And it's strange for it to go platinum 24 hours later. Does not speak of quality. I want to say this, because there's albums that don't have those numbers, but it probably is better. But again, I have to wait till I hear the album to finally say what I have to say about the album and such. But I'm going to give that out there, put that out there for anyone that's going to say, oh, this means it's a great album. Like, no, that's automatically mean that. There's albums from artists that would probably never have gone platinum or get a Grammy. So yeah, I want y'all, for those that want to remember that, because there's some listeners out there that want to use these metrics like sales and awards to dictate albums' dopeness. If anything, it's a bonus. To me, it's a bonus. And of course, you can't really trust award shows. They go by popularity and numbers, and whoever is the most popular is always the most talented. So that's it on that. Then now back to Good Kid, Mad City. This album, man, when I revisited after maybe some years, actually I re-listened to the album sometime last year, then I've recently listened to it like 5 times throughout the span of days, and it still holds up. It's very amazing. And the story that Kendrick Lamar tells, which is basically him being born and raised in Compton and dealing with all the hardships that comes with being in that in that sort of city. Hence the title "Good Kid, Mad City," being one of the good kids in a city that's full of just full of like crime and such, like that kind of, and how it impacted him, and how it has an impact on him going into like his journey into pursuing a career as a rapper, and not to mention like how like and not to mention damn, I lost my train of thought. And so give me a second for a moment. Yes, I got something to say about the album. And of course how he tells the story, because like the story of like growing up in a poverty stricken city isn't like a new concept in hip hop, because we had that for Nas's Illmatic, as well as B.I.G.'s Ready to Die, and as well, of course, Snoop Dogg's Doggy Style, Games the documentary album. Like, it's definitely not a new concept. There's like I said, there's not only those four artists have done albums speaking on their city, they're born and raised in per se. Like, they're not a new concept, but how Kendrick tells the story is what makes it unique. Like with the skits, like after each song, like with his mom and dad doing phone calls, as well as his friends, like as far as his friends cutting into it, like as far as like the phone call. Of course, it also brought in Maya Angelou doing the voice of this old lady that runs into not just Kendrick, also like Dave's friend. I think it's Dave's brother, I think. And when they're about to get revenge on Dave, he gets shot and killed, and they just told him to just like, and they have them like give their life to the Lord and lead a different life per se. And so shout out to Maya Angelou for coming in to do that little outro for "Sing About Me" and "Dying of Thirst." And by the way, it's like a great song, one of the best songs on the album. And not to mention, it pulls from different sources. It ain't just the usual G-Funk album neither. It has elements of that there kind of sprinkled in. It also has elements from like that 90s ATL sound as well. Because when I was listening to it, maybe just me, but when I was listening to certain songs like "The Art of Peer Pressure," reminded me of Outkast, a bit of Outkast a little bit. Specifically the art of storytelling, which I believe "Art of Peer Pressure" maybe call back to that song per se. It's how he like raps, and the flow kind of reminds me of Big Boy and Andre 3000, how they rapped. And of course, it's still Kendrick still his own thing, but he definitely keep the influence done in a very very dope way. As you can still sense the influence, also sense that it's still Kendrick per se telling his story. And there's another song too where there's some southern elements to it. Oh yeah, what is it called? Backseat Freestyle. It has a bit of that Lil Wayne flow in it as well. Even though it was a callback to callback to Kendrick when he was like maybe 16, 17 years old. Like more so the flow, how he rapped on there, when he first started rapping per se. And that was during the whole, I think it was the YNIC era, because that was just the top of his first mixtape. And on that tape, I remember hearing the first song, he kind of rapped like Wayne on the Over the Go DJ instrumental. Kind of borrowed Lil Wayne's flow a little bit. So yeah, I could definitely peep the Wayne inspiration on that Backseat Freestyle. And of course, and like I said, I'm gonna get back to the beginning of the album. It starts off very dope dope little introduction with like the beat kind of playing out, and Kendrick spitting the verse about meeting up with Shireen, getting her number, talking about the summer, getting familiar with each other's background, and finding to have some commonalities, having family members that's in the gang life, and then leads up to the latter half of the song, leads up to him like pulling up to meet Shireen, then hopping out, seeing 2-3 dudes in masks that's ready to jump him. Then leads into the track, "Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe," transition to the present day, selling into his career, selling into the first year of being a famous rap star, which would now have been in 2011, 2012. And of course, it's a good lead up from when his dad on the phone conversation asked about Domino's and telling his mom, "Don't kill my vibe." Good little callback to that part. And very amazing instrumental. And I had no idea, and it may have like slipped through my radar, but I forgot that what's her name, Lady Gaga was supposed to do a part, had a part on this song, but apparently they did not make the album cut. Did not make the cut for the album. It was left off. So, but nonetheless, in spite of that, the song still sounds great. It has two verses on there, and of course you can see how he just rap, how his flow and such, how he used different flows and such, and on different songs like first it's slow and kind of slow and methodical, then it's like go kind of fast paced, cranked up, matched in with the little drums going in to playing to the hook. Yeah, the bitch is very catchy, by the way. And of course, the little bridge was nice. And the little violin outro, chef's kiss. Now I'm going to speed this thing on up, so I won't take up more of your time. I already spoke on how I felt about backseat freestyle, and I haven't said too much about art of peer pressure. Like I said, it's slightly a callback to Outkast's art of storytelling, but of course, if it's not obvious with the title, it's basically Kendrick speaking on like how he's a much different person as opposed when he's by himself or with his family as he is with the homies. Like he pretty much speaks on how he with the gang signs, smoke weed, and just like be a whole different person when he's around them. As those that know, a lot of Kendrick's like friends were like members of Westside Piru, and that's the neighborhood he grew up in. So when he's around them, he's a whole different person as opposed to what he's raised to be per se by his family. So yeah, it was a good look. It gets you into this. Yeah, I just keep on getting myself tongue tied. And how it's set up and how he explains the story is very different from most other songs of the same topic. Starts off almost like split two different songs and mixed into one, but it's very seamless per se. It has like 3-4 verses speaking on those experiences, and they go into Poetic Justice, which is like the only song that him and Drake have done together. Now, of course, they collaborate on Effing Problems on A$AP Rocky's joint. So, like, but as far as official songs they've done together, this is like the only one and only song they've done together. And each of them deliver some like good verses. And Drake's verse slightly sounds somewhat off, but it still fits in with the concept of the record per se. And I've also say something else. This I'm gonna call it nitpick, maybe not even important, but it's another callback to Tupac. Because Poetic Justice also titled the movie that Tupac and Janet Jackson starred in, and they're both the lead actors in that movie per se. And of course, samples Janet Jackson's "Anytime, Any Place." Of course, reference, of course, not callback, more so tribute to Janet Jackson, and of course, her being in that movie. And of course, like I said before, kind of a callback to Pac as well, since he was in that movie as well. So, anyway, the song itself is pretty nice. How they did the sample of "Anytime, Any Place." After like the intro was like the little hands up hard, hands up high. And shit, what else? Oh, I forgot. I skipped over Money Trees. God damn it. It's already 13 minutes long. I'm going to try to speed this on up so it won't be too long. Money Trees, great song, great concept about like this plot, great concept, great story. And J Rock came through with a hard ass verse. And actually the verse of that year, the best verse of that year and of all time. Best guest verse that is. One of, you know what I mean? Like Rock was in the zone with that verse. And tying into what Kendrick was talking about in this first two verses is like wanting to sit on their money tree, and as opposed to like having to plan on doing things to get said money. And of course also talking about just doing the home invasion, which he speaks on doing so on the art of peer pressure, and also M.A.A.D City, and which I was also speak on Good Kid. Cool little track that leads into M.A.A.D City, which is definitely the centerpiece of the album, kind of the rising action in the album. And of course, you can say "Sing About Me" have that same function, but I say M.A.A.D City was because kind of gives the origins of where he got that idea for the title of the song, which is coming from just smoking a blunt laced with angel dust and having a foam at the mouth, as he said, and as he mentions in the second verse, and mentioned how that's why he doesn't smoke weed. And of course, M.A.A.D City is also spells an acronym on there, on this album, not on this album, on the title track, M.A.A.D City, on the end part of the verse. Like spelling out, it said Mad Angel, Angel, like, Mad Angel and Angel Dust. Of course, Mad Angel and Angel Dust. That's what it was. That's what it was. And of course, MC8 great comes with a great verse as well, and it showed that even though it was at that point it's been years he not finally, but since he officially dropped the album, because the last album he released, which was years after his respective prime and fame, like which was in '06. Even though it's been years you've heard him on a record, like on a mainstream platform, like it showed that all that time that they still can spit with the best of them, still hang with the young guys that's coming in the rap game in 2010s. So shout out to MC8 for giving a solid verse, and of course, like doing it into his like old like Hood Took Me Under flow. It's like though like Hood Took Me Under flow, similar flow, what may have you. So yeah, plus it was good to have someone OG from Compton on the track like this, which we have another OG from Compton as well, from the same city, being Dre on the final track on the album, which I'll get into. Swimming Pools, great pick for a first single. Was it the first single? I think it was the first single. Yeah, it was The Recipe, and this was the second single. Man, I might be forgetting. Great song, great hook, very catchy, and has a good message to it as far as what motivates people to drink, and speaking on his experiences with drinking at a young age, and speaking on how his main reason motivation to drink is to kind of fit in with the crowd, fit in with his friends per se, and it ties into everything else about like peer pressure, and of course has a third verse, not third verse, more so third verse, because the other one was a bridge, the other part was a bridge going to the hook again, and like another verse comes in after the song, the beat slightly changes, and like kind of ties in everything on that verse, as well as art of peer pressure and Sing About Me. Like I said, another just one of those moments where it's like the kind of rising action of the track, not track, but like the album. And it spits 3 verses, all of them hit home. As the letter, speaking on the perspective of his friend that lost his brother this night before, more so the night before, when him and Kendrick is like pulling on some guys in a shootout, and said guy's brother was shot and killed. So he's just calling Kendrick, let him know that. I mean, there's like this pouring his heart out, and how he feels trapped in the life he chose, and plus before I go, it ends with gunshots in his head. He's been taken down by the same life he was leading, per se, same fate that his brother had faced. And of course, second verse speaks on the sister of Keisha, like which is like tied back to Keisha's song on Anyway It's a Heartbreak, and this is like going off of Kendrick for speaking on his sister's story and her story as well, because she has a similar background as Keisha and such like that. And at that moment, she was out there again with a John, and of course Never Fade Away, and how she please fade away just fades in, and it kind of has a double meaning per se. Like okay, it's like almost like Kendrick's done talking or hearing what she has to say, or she ends up eventually dying from full-blown AIDS perhaps, or another STD, because there's a part of that verse spoken from that Kendrick rapped from that perspective, like how she's like, the doctor's visit is a waste, I feel great, and also in denial if maybe she has HIV and it's going to lead to full-blown AIDS per se. So, and then the third verse ties everything else together, and not to mention there's a skit where it said brother that took shot and killed sometime later wanted revenge. It's like I'm tired of this shit. And then it had another third verse with Dying of Thirst, and it's almost like a climax of a movie in a sense, like a drama, like just them contemplating on just some get back, and the whole verse of just like all the craziness that goes on in Compton and such like that, as far as like murders and such. And speaking of how innocent people get caught in the crossfire, and then like I said earlier, the skit near the end, then Real, which is not my most favorite song on the album, but it's not bad. Just like how the hook comes in, it's like but I can still listen to it like without changing it or anything. And then you get to the final track being Compton, and Compton, it almost functions as a type like an end credits to a movie, to a short film, which that's what it says on the album cover, like a short film by Kendrick Lamar-Good, Kid, Mad City. If you get the standard version, It's like a young Kendrick Lamar when he's a baby with some family members throwing a couple of them throwing gang signs, and I think there's a 40-ounce bottle on the table and stuff like that. And two of the guys' faces are like hidden, their eyes are hidden, and of course, then you got the got the van, whereas Kendrick is riding it, borrows and uses throughout the album, and in that time period, during that time period, on the album cover, the deluxe version, and of course has short film under it after title Good Kid, Mad City. So that's what Compton is. Comes like an end credit to that movie, and both not both Dr. Dre and Kendrick Lamar's Dre verses, and you could tell Kendrick wrote Dr. Dre's verses, how he rapped. It's very similar to how Kendrick be rapping, but it was cool. And Just Blaze definitely did a great job utilizing Dr. Dre's production style, which is also a missed opportunity as well, because Dre could have did this himself. But it's cool to see Just Blaze kind of channel Dre when he produced it, for producing like the track and giving it like another anthem for the city of Compton. And they just trade each other verses, speaking on their city, showing love to it, and all they had to go through just to get here type deal. And he also ties it in, like how the outro has a talk box near the end. Like, and just it also, I did mention it as on elements of G Funk, so there's that. And it's almost like like I mentioned about the short film like structure, it almost like starts over again as a young Kendrick Lamar telling like his mom that I'm gonna borrow the car, I'll be right back in 15 minutes, and this rewinds it. It almost like has a rewinding tape effect to it, to Shireen's daughter, not Shireen, but Shireen, aka Splinter's daughter. And that album, man. Like I said, very short, cause not overly short, but not too long. Does overstay his welcome. You get what you came for the album. Great story, great concepts, and also like good hooks, enjoyable music. Features are where they're supposed to be at for the most part. Not for the most part. Every feature are where they're supposed to be at. Add some, it doesn't take away. Now, deluxe versions, multiple versions of the deluxe version. I'm gonna have to cut this one again because now, damn, I had no idea I was gonna spend 22 minutes. Damn, I haven't even spoken on the freaking, what was it? Oh, how I felt about the album when I listened to it. When I first listened to the album, I was amazed. I was blown away. And there's some aspects of the album I definitely could connect with, and also easy to understand as well. And yeah, understood, relate, yeah. So not only just that, but I was just like I said, I was just blown away because man, because at that time, oh boy, what was that? What was that time period? At that time, well, we gonna that's probably nothing to do with it, but anyway, that was when I was still in college, so I got a lot of memories from when I was still in Augusta University, being a college student, trying to make his way in the world, and of course this album and the songs from this album were a soundtrack to that point in my life, like just from when it was first released onward. Now I was kind of thrown back, but the immediate like not praise, but more so people calling it a classic when it first came out. Within hours, like hold up now, let this album breathe. Even Kendrick had to do interviews, tell people to chill. You know what I mean? Basically, in his words, I have to watch the interview again. It's been a while since I've seen the promo interviews for Good Kid, Mad City. And like I said, I was blown away, and plus that solidified me as a fan of Kendrick Lamar. Now, Section 80 was that beginning, and of course, this features on J Rock's songs as well as, of course, his guest verses on "Follow Me" on Rock's debut album, "Follow Me Home," and and also Schoolboy Q's album, Habits of Contradiction, is guest feature on Tech Nine's All 67's album. So I was from that point on, and this album, it just solidified me as a longtime fan of Kendrick Lamar, and on him ever since. Then again, I did first came across him before I even knew who he was really, or really got into his music, was when he's known as K Dot on some J Rock songs. Then the albums Section 80 and Good Kid, Mad City, and bam, like that, was a fan ever since. And what's anything else I like to say? If I had to give this album a rate, if I had to put this album anywhere on the tier list I'm putting together, it would be on A tier, for certainly A tier. And for a long time, I felt that on another sub, not even another sub. This ties into everything. Ties into everything. More so what I was about to speak on, which is the Pimp a Butterfly. I thought the Pimp a Butterfly was better than Good Kid, Mad City for a long time. But after listening to this, revisiting both albums in different time periods, not time periods, different, more so different times during the early let's say the past 4 or 5 years, I started to maybe have a change of opinion, and I decided to put Good Kid, Mad City above the Pimp a Butterfly. Now it's not that I'm not too much of a gap between albums. There's just certain things Good Kid, Mad City does better than To Pimp a Butterfly, in my opinion, and I will explain more of it in my review for The Pimp a Butterfly. Oh boy, if this is long, if this is going to go this long, just imagine how long my video for The Pimp a my video, and also my review for The Pimp a Butterfly. This is gonna be long as fuck. But hopefully I didn't take too much of your time. Hopefully I cover every base for this review as far as the songs and my feelings on it. If I had to give this album a rating, it's a 5 mics, straight 5 mics, 5 stars, 10 out of 10. Hell, that's just my honest opinion for it. It's up there with Illmatic. You know, I have to say it's up there with Illmatic and Doggy Style and The Chronic, as well as the documentary. It's up there with those albums. And Get Rich or Die Trying. It's up there with those albums as far as like classics. And it's a great album overall. So that's all I have to say for today. I'm gonna go ahead and head on out, and more so sign out. Well, anyway, it kind of fits. I'm gonna head on that. I'm gonna go ahead and sign out. Holla at your boy. Peace.